Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. It has already been a month since Tower of Fantasy was released for global. Well, yes, I've been enjoying the game ever since, but there are still a lot of things that need to be improved or implemented in the game to give us a better experience. So today I wanted to make a list of the things we desperately need in Tower of Fantasy. First one on the list is going to be test runs and trials. I don't think I'm the only one who thinks that we should be able to try out the weapon or character first, so you can actually decide firsthand if you want to spend your dark crystals or nucleus to get that character. We're already able to try out characters that we don't have in the character story missions, so I don't see why they can't let us try the limited time characters to help players make a better decision. This is something that should be in every gacha game, so this is definitely a must-have. And for number 2, we should be able to see other players' loadouts, especially considering that we're getting the new 8-man raids. As a tank main myself, I switch weapons according to my team's weapons. I always use Huma and Meryl, but I switch between Nemesis and Zero depending on how well the healer does. I prefer to use Zero for his extra utility, but if the healer is not doing well, I switch to Nemesis so I can self-heal. This will also be useful in Void Rifts, for when you have buffs that you don't necessarily need, like the element-specific damage boosts. If you can see your team's weapons, you will know which person you should give it to. They could easily make it so that if you hover your mouse over the player name, you will see icons that correspond to the weapons they are using. And they can even go as far as being able to see the player's loadout during the matchmaking before you accept the group invitation for the dungeons. And since we're on the topic of group content, my number 3 would be about the dungeon chat system. I really think that they can do better than just flying text on the screen for 2 seconds. First of all, it can be quite easy to miss, if not hard to read, because the text just pops out of random places from the right side of the screen. This is something that won't take too much effort to fix, at least I believe so. They can just make the text pop up on the screen beside the player's name on the UI, and it would make a huge difference. And moving on to number 4, and it's going to be about the user interface as a whole. While this won't be too much of an issue for most players because they probably would have gotten used to it by now, we would appreciate it if the menus were more organized and easier to navigate through. The UI being a mess has always been a huge complaint, especially for new players. So revamping the UI to something better would be a change everyone would be happy about. Alright, so the number 5 on the list, we have joint operation penalties. I know I'm not the only one who's been in a team where there's that one guy who loots the first chest and leaves. Or when one of the players die, they immediately leave the joint operation even if the boss is almost dead. You can kind of see how frustrating this is, so adding a matchmaking cooldown as a penalty would help prevent these players from doing this. We already have penalties for declining the matchmaking multiple times, so why not add one to players who keep leaving mid-match? And it also doesn't make sense because if you only want to loot the first chest, why don't you just do the dungeon yourself? Because the first part of the dungeon is somewhat easy and you can easily do it solo. So why not do the dungeon yourself and leave after you get the first chest, if that's the only thing you need? But what if the team can't clear the dungeon and everyone agrees to leave? They can just add a surrender option where everyone can vote on, problem solved. And moving on to number 6, and this one is going to be server merges. Not server transfers, but server merges. They mentioned server transfers in one of their community updates, but server transfers will just redistribute the players, so it's still possible for a few servers to end up having more players leaving compared to players coming in. So it's better to combine, let's say, a medium-sized server into a low population server, so they will have enough for a healthy player population while still being able to accommodate new players. I'm looking forward to seeing the Tower of Fantasy community grow, and I think these changes will help polish the game a bit to hopefully keep the players liking the game. Let me know if you have any ideas on what they should have in the game or what they specifically have to fix. I'd be interested to see what you guys have to say in the comments below. Also, make sure to stay tuned for more Tower of Fantasy content. I will be releasing more guides once the 1.5 update drops, and if you have any specific topics you want me to cover in the future, feel free to leave it in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.